Good evening everyone. Just a bit of an update. I've been doing a little bit on the bike and I will show you what I've been doing, what I think I've done before filming, and also you know, saying about the rear hugger. I think I was saying in the last video that the rear hugger was too tight and it was making it a bit screwy, so one side was getting too close to the tyre. That has been now corrected, so now it's just a matter of, well, I've done that, changed a few bolts. Easiest thing for me to do is turn around and show you what I've done, really. Bike must be getting pretty close now. I've done a lot of the loom through for the aftermarket gear change and throttle blipper and various other wires that need to be connected, and also the side stand. I've also got my, just come through today in Brembo, master cylinders for both clutch and brake, which I believe from a friend of mine who's a racer, it will really complement the M4 monoblocks on the front brakes. He said it will make them very, very good brakes. So I will might not have time to have a look at fitting them today, but we'll see how we get on basically. But I'll give you a quick glimpse as well. And I've been having a look at the exhaust as well that I'm putting on. A little bit tight to go on the Acropovic downpipes that are on from the original sports performance model, which it was. So I've got the Dremel and just trying to take a little bit off the inside of the not the downpipes, of the end cans, because I really don't want to modify the downpipes too much in case I go back to the Acropovics. But I'll show you that now. So I'll, as I say, as I normally say, turn the camera around, show you what's going on, and show where we're up to. Right, here we are. As I say, I've done that through there, and the hugger is now trimmed and fits correctly. Before, it was very, very tight here, a lot tighter than what it is now. It's rock solid, and it fits correctly, which it has a bolt here, a bolt that goes down where your chain guide is, goes bolts to the downwards on that side, and the other two where the normal chain guide will be. I've stuck the weight and the tyre pressure sticker on. This tyre is a bit low at 30, it should be 42 around. That's what they recommend for the road, and obviously it's got a recommendation of the tyres that would normally be on there. I think people have gone away from them now. They're quite, I wouldn't say old hats, but they're, you know, better tyres out there now. Also, a friend of mine who races on the road, just road racing, sometimes recommends just lowering your tyres a little bit. Now, it's all down to rider preference. I would only do this in small increments until you get used to it. Because around the TT, it goes down as low as 25 psi, which I thought was really, really low for the road. He said he has even been lower before in the past, but that's what he does. So, you know, and he's not slow neither. He's done 129.7 mile an hour lap so far. He has done a 131 from gooseneck to gooseneck, but on the last lap, of the senior last year, his bike let go after being in 6th place. No slouch at all, really, and fingers crossed he still does well. I will be seeing him next week because I'll be taking the H2 loom in to have a couple of things looked at before I put it on the bike. So he will be having a look at that and advising me on a few bits and bobs and so on and that, because he maps obviously the ECU on that bike, and we also use power command at secondary fuel injection module and the ignition control module. Right, anyway, I've been looking at doing the downpipes, and that's why I've done the gear change and put on. As you see, these are the headers, well, intermediate piece. The headers come down there, and got springs on, and it makes it into a white piece here. So you have two white piece here, so you have two exhaust outlets, which you normally would have on the ZZR14. The exhaust I'm looking on using are these very, very small Kaufman exhaust systems. They're made in California. They have a baffling and a very small core that will come out. I have had these on this bike before, but obviously they damaged my last lot. and I have been to a top speed event and got through the noise restrictions at 98 dB at 4,500 revs, 45-degree angle, and the distance that they need to be at. So they're not particularly loud, but if you take the core out, they will be. Because if you think about it, I've got no cat on the bike, because we have an O2 optimizer. Because what used to happen is when people used to put power commanders on these when they first come out, used to map it with the oxygen sensor still active, and what used to happen is at a certain RPM the oxygen sensor went way, we're too rich here, and then changed. This is mapping with a power command, and changed the mapping output, so you got a hell of a flat spot somewhere where I think it's about 6,000 RPM, I'm not sure exactly where. So the O2 optimizer sort of tricks the oxygen sensor that everything's fine, everything's okay, don't be in a flat, we will get through this safely. A little bit of humour there. But anyway, I've done that, hugger's on, I've done all the wiring through now to the back, and I've put in the alarm, and my electronic gear change is now double-sided taped in there. The wires have all been put through into relative places. There's just this wire that needs to be going for. It has permanent live and an earth, so that will go by direct to the battery. So that's all done on that. The front fender's been put on, and I've been messing about. I've been sorting out these things. I need a shorter one of them. It's a builder line, this particular one. But what it is because I probably said this in the last video, but I'll be saying it again. Because the bolt, the banjo bolt for these Brembos is lower than the standard calipers, which is up here. The standard line will not reach both ends. I have a standard line there. I've just tried it again just to make sure, and it will not reach. So I had to use a different line, and that's a bit long at the moment. So what my plan is now, I'm going to be playing about putting the underguard on. This is not the one I'm going to be putting on. I've got a carbon fibre one to go on. So I'm going to clean up all that on the underguard. On the bracket, which I've got here. I'm going to clean all the brackets up, fit it, and then put the carbon fibre one underneath. And then I'll fit the exhausts, because well actually what I'll probably do is I'll fit the bracket, then I'll fit the exhaust, and then I'll fit the carbon fibre on, just in case I catch the carbon fibre with the exhaust as I'm trying to manhandle them on, because they are a tight fit. As you see, you saw there, I've took a little bit off on each. That's just for this particular one. All I've used is emery cloth on that. As I say, I didn't want to take that down too much, because I didn't want the thingy standard acrylic ones being too loose if we change back through. I've also got my new bolts, titanium blue bolts for my foot pegs. I've had to order a new foot peg there. That's on order because I want the rubber one on, and it was completely mangled. I'd say this brake lever and this was from my race bike, which I don't have that type of brake on anymore. Now I use a thumb brake, so I don't have a brake on at all. And that's it for now. I will get back to you shortly. Hi, well on this side, I will just show you that I have, let's say, the rest of the hugger on. I have one more bolt there. I put the chain tension guide information on. Another bolt there. I'd say the one is at the top here, which goes down. The other side, well, sorry, we'll try and get it into the position where you can see. The other side of the chain, there's one going down which holds this guide on, and the other part of the hugger into the frame. And we always have one underneath for the other guide underneath, and that wrapped around. I say also I've changed the bolts here at this side. This, I put one bolt in there. They're not the genuine ones at the moment, until I've ordered them correctly, but that bolted right through with a big washer. It's not going to go anywhere. You need a bit of rubber, a bit of bounce in that. You don't want it too rigid, otherwise you just need a bit of flex and things, otherwise things vibrate loose more than anything. As you can see, all this is on. Coolant's in. I filled the radiator first and left it overnight to let any bubbles come up. Obviously I squeezed the hoses as well to see if I could get anything out through the hoses. By just manipulating the hoses can get some of the air out of it. I've put in the expansion tank here. I've left that open for now to see if there's anything that will come through the system, but it won't come through the system because where that bottom feed comes from, it goes over the top of the engine. So that cap's going to go back on now, and I've put the oil filter back on and filled it up with oil. What I normally do when I put oil filters back on, I half fill the oil filter with oil, then put it back on, and it gives it a bit of a chance. And you also smear the seal with a little bit of oil. Do not use any sealant on the seal, you don't need it. Just a little bit of oil, and it just helps bake it and the sealing tight a bit better. As I say, the wiring has been sort of tidied up a bit. Unfortunately, this is the tidiest I can get pretty much most of the wiring, the aftermarket wiring, as long as it's away from anything that's going to catch. That's the main thing. As I say, it's all, a couple of these have to go back on, but otherwise we're there pretty much. I can pull that back through and I've got enough through on the other side. Yeah, but as I say, there's a couple of clips here. As I was saying, a couple of these need to go back on, clips there. That's the motor for the electronic side stand. It'd be interesting to see if I've actually put it wired incorrectly here, because on the spool here you have one cable go one way, one go the other, and you have to spool them around the plastic spool. If you get them the wrong way and it tries to pull down instead of pull up, it can break the plastic spool. So I've got to be touch or go on that one. Right, so that's it really from this side. I just thought I'd let you know. Obviously the front carbon fenders, front carbon nose cones on. Well, that's pretty much it. A lot of it's been trying to fiddle out with wiring over the last couple of days, and just making sure other bits that I have put on are tightened up properly. But otherwise, you know, checking out some of the torque settings. If you want any of your torque settings, you can go to, you can get a manual. You can either try and get a genuine Kawasaki manual, which I have got for the H2, but I've managed to get the genuine Kawasaki manuals online at, I think it's, I'll try and think of it. If I can remember it, I'll put it at the end of the video so you can see. I pretty much managed to get quite a few manuals on there, and you can read them on a tablet or your phone and that, but it has all the torque settings in there for everything. And most things I've found, some of the strong stuff was around about 127 Newton meters, because that's 127 on the rear spindle, 127 on the front. And I think even possibly the inner sprocket was, but I did say that on an earlier video what that was. Might be in a bit higher actually. And I think the swing arm nut was 127, but do check all these online first. If you can't find them online for any reason, just send me a private message and I will search through my manual for you and let you know what it is. Okay, that's all I can do there. Right, go back to putting this back on. See you in a bit again. As you can see, I've started putting the Brembo clutch master cylinder on. I've got the pipe ready. I've got to connect that to the reservoir and make sure it fits correctly on the reservoir. We'll have to see if I have to move this pipe in any particular way. It does have a little bit of movement side to side. Bolted it on with the heat controller for the heated grips. I've not connected it up yet. We've got to get an end to go on there. I'm wondering whether a straight or a slightly angled down one. With a slightly angled down one, a straight one would possibly, sorry, okay, here we go again. Straight one will possibly be on that position, which may well foul a little bit, but a slightly angled down one will bring it down to that position, which might be slightly better. So I've done that. I'm running out of time. Fitted the end cans. Here's one. What I found was the split you get in the end can was about halfway up, and no matter how much I tried to take off the inside, it still wouldn't fit properly. But if I lengthen that split
further on both sides with my Dremel, with the cutting disc. They went on quite easy then. So that's clamped on. With this side, you've got to be careful, and when the side stands up, the side stand doesn't catch. So you have to have it slightly closer to the swing arm. There's still plenty of space, as you see. The bottom cowling bracket is on, which is the, what do you call it, under frame cowl. I'm not sure what they call it. I'll have to try and find that one out myself, out of interest. I've done as well, obviously this side, it's gone on as well. They have a bolt on this side, a nut and bolt on this side, which is what normally holds the exhaust on the other one. But why one on one side, one on the other? Maybe to just stabilise the whole system. I think that's what it's for, because without that bolt connected, the downpipes and everything move from side to side. Now it is rock solid. I found once this one was on, this exhaust can was on, and that was bolted in tight, and that was on tight down on the bottom there. It was easy to put the other one on because there was nothing, there wasn't much give. What I've done as well, I have bolted the bolts for these brackets on the inside, going in that sort of angle rather than straight down. If you do it from the bottom here, if you have a really bad speed bump or whatever, you may well catch it. Grind a bit of the end off. It might be difficult to get off in future dates if you need to take it off. So I did that on that. And that's pretty much it tonight, but I must advise you, as you see, I've got some goggles out. I've got a bit of third lock on that one. Unfortunately, I've got a leak on one of my third lock buttons. When you're doing any cutting, grinding or whatever, make sure you wear goggles, and also make sure you use a mask, especially when you're doing carbon fibre, because carbon fibre is one of those things, once it's in your lungs, you can't get it out. Your body cannot get rid of it in any way at all. So when I was cutting that carbon fibre for the rear hugger here, I had a mask on. I don't like wearing a mask myself, but it was definitely needed doing. And this is the type of mask I used at the moment. This is the one I used. As you can see, there's a bit of black on the outside, pretty clean on the inside. You can see all that carbon fibre dust is going everywhere. Also, when you don't have anyone else in the room with you who's not wearing a mask or wearing the safety equipment. Well, that's it for me tonight. Not done much tonight. I may well put this video on with tomorrow night's video. We'll see how many minutes it is in total. But yeah, it's all the little finicky bits now. The bits like getting the swing arm on and whatever on, you can physically see things happening. Unfortunately, at this stage, when you're doing little bits and bobs and everything, the bits that are vital to do, you need to, it takes longer. Also, what I'm deciding what I might do is I might make a little spacer, put a space between the carbon fibre hugger and the bolt, and bring that out there and put a P-clip in there. So when there's a P-clip in there, it's pretty solid, but even like that, it's not getting in anyone's way as long as I tighten it up properly once it's finished. But that's not going to get in anyone's way. You've seen them on race bikes where they actually do have a lot of movements in them because they have a lot of movements in the suspension. But it's not a race bike, so I might put a P-clip in there and tidy that up. But that's it from me tonight. Thank you very much. Speak to you soon.